Like I can get right down into a full squat and get up no problem. It's like
Wow.
I was doing it the other day and someone was amazed. They said, "You just had a hip replacement just over 7 months ago and you're doing that?" Yeah, I block every day and it's amazing.
Hi there. I'm so excited to be talking with Marlene Kearsley. Marlene has been one of our Block Therapy community members for a number of years now and recently joined our instructor program. And she has a very exciting story to share. Now, I just want to preface by saying Marlene has had two hip replacements. She started block therapy before she had either one of them, but the story is incredible in how she prepared her body, managed the surgeries, and let's dive in. So, Marlene, first of all, you needed this hip replaced. I think you said it was 2021 or so that you were scheduled to have a replacement. Now, let's have a little bit of your backstory. What led up to needing these replacements? Because I know you're a very physical person.
Yeah, I don't sit still very well. So I have been very active my whole life. I played women's recreational hockey. I played in the BC Senior Winter Games in 2020. It was the spring of 2020. I did the Freakin' Farmer, which is this 10-kilometer obstacle race. I did the Tough Mudder at Whistler, which is another huge uh, obstacle course. That was in 2019. As part of search and rescue for a number of years, and I still participate in the Civil Air Search and Rescue. And yeah, my lifestyle was very, very active. And so I was always very conscientious about keeping everything in balance as well. So I couldn't understand when they said I needed a hip replacement or both hips replaced.
So, at what point along that journey did you find block therapy, and how did that impact your need for the hip replacement or preparing for it? And just give us a little bit more information around that.
I found block therapy in the fall of 2021. And this was around the time I had met with a surgeon after multiple people had said, I think you need a hip replacement, like from physios to acupuncturists. Um, and so I met with a surgeon and he was scheduling me for a hip replacement. This was in December and I just started blocking. And I thought, okay, there's some hope. Maybe I can fix this. But anyway, he phoned me for the surgery in February, only 2 months later, and I wasn't prepared. I thought I need more time just to see if I can rectify this. So I was allowed to, I think you have 2 times you can postpone it. I finally had to, the third time I accepted it, and that was June 2nd was my surgery date.
So, how did you feel from the time that you started block therapy until you needed the surgery? Was there any benefit that you actually physically experienced in that period of time?
Yes, it was the block therapy actually helped me provide spacing in the joints so that I could move better. I was able to get out and start walking a little bit. I mean, I had to keep blocking. I was blocking 3 to 4 hours a day and sometimes more in between just to give me that relief. But he couldn't believe I wasn't taking pain medication. So it was definitely helping me.
And you definitely were going in with the mindset that I want to not have this replacement, right? So that's why, I mean, I remember you and I were quite communicative back and forth in that period of time before to see if it was something that we could prevent. But again, you started bone on bone. So it was more of a preparation for the surgery. So then you have it. And how did you respond after the surgery?
Um, I responded actually very well. 2 weeks in, the surgeon couldn't believe how well I was moving, and he asked me what I was doing. I told him about block therapy, and he wrote it in his report to keep doing it. So at that point, I was bike riding. Once the scar healed, I was able to go paddleboarding, and that was the beginning of the third week. And he actually asked me to videotape myself doing it because he couldn't believe how easily I got on and off the board. And so he was very impressed with my recovery. He said it was, yeah, remarkable.
And that's one thing we always share with people. I mean, if you need the surgery, obviously you need it, but to be able to create that space in the tissue and optimize flow and optimize your breath before having anything like this the result on the other side is going to be that much more efficient healing. So I love that you are able to share that and you actually saw that physically in your own body.
Mhm.
So between the first hip replacement and then I know you've had your second one done, let's talk about the timeline between the two because again, we were going back and forth quite a bit to see what we could do for you to potentially prevent. Now, obviously you needed it again, but let's talk about that timeline between.
I could have had it done sooner, but again, I was thinking if I keep blocking and do as much as I can, I could prevent it. So I blocked every day. Like there was very seldom did I miss a day blocking, but I was still doing a lot of blocking to keep the discomfort at bay. You know, when I went golfing, I would have to get up and I'd block for a couple hours the next day, or even when I came back, I'd be blocking. So just to keep the discomfort. And I thought, oh man, this is a lot of blocking. I mean, you know, it was impacting how much time I could go out and do all these other high intensity activities that I liked. Um, so it was 2025 May when I actually had the second one done. And yeah, that was a little bit different recovery though.
Talk about that.
Um,
Yeah. Share with everybody so they
um,
can understand again because nothing is a straight line and for people to really understand the things that you went through and what you tried to do just to give people that deep respect for what fascia decompression can do and where there's limitations. Now, I just have to say I was thrilled that you shared that this really diminished your need for taking medication to manage the pain because in and of itself that's huge for your physical well-being.
oh, absolutely. Yeah. So between the first and second surgery, like I was doing a lot of blocking, but I was still walking with like limping. So when things would get out of alignment, like I was trying to keep things in alignment that I was blocking so much, like that it limited the time that I had to be out doing things. People kept saying, well, why do you need a surgery? Because I was walking fairly well, but that was because I was blocking all the time. They didn't see what I was doing in private, you know, like here I am blocking away for hours. But when I had my surgery done, for the first 2 weeks, everything was going great. And then all of a sudden, I had trouble putting weight on my left leg. And that was the one I had surgery on. So that progressively got worse. And I know I had reached out to you and you had given me some things to do. You had actually said it's the fascia in the hamstring initially. And I was blocking that. I was blocking my calf, my shin, everything down my leg. And I started blocking a week after both my surgeries. So I didn't apply pressure right on the scar, but I was working the area around it. And so doing what I could. But when I had that limited mobility where I was giving out, my leg was giving out, and you said it was my hamstring, I was almost like determined, okay, I'm getting this. But I think I was working too hard and not relaxing into the process of it. I was like trying to fight my way through because I know this works. And so my surgery is the end of May. By the end of September, the surgeon had seen me after the physio had sent me back down there because I was having trouble weight bearing every time I got up from a chair or from a laying down position. He sent me in for a C-reactive protein test to see if there's infection. That turned out like great. There was nothing. So no infection. Then he was sending me in for a bone scan, which I still have not done because they phoned me here a month ago and I canceled it because after when I saw him September, he was talking about reconstructive surgery. All of a sudden, something shifted. You had me doing the pelvis peeler right before you released it publicly. And I kept doing the pelvis peeler over and over again. And then I went back to blocking my hamstring where you originally said it was. And next thing I knew, I was getting up and walking with no problem. Like it's like
Wow.
whatever was in there restricting it released. And I haven't had a problem with it since then.
Wow, I actually didn't know that. That's amazing. And here's the thing, right? Like when we have pain, it's really so hard to get a grasp on what's going on and then the choices that we make. So for you to be so arduous with your work with blocking and not giving up and then getting to that point by finding where's that holding pattern that is blocking the ability for this joint to work properly? And then for you to get there. I mean, that just brings so much joy to me because so many other people would have gone the road of the surgery.
Yeah. Well, I think I was chasing the pain at that time. And so instead of chasing the pain, when I went and started blocking the pelvis, like you had suggested, um, like I kept doing it. I think I stopped contacting you for a bit because I didn't want to bother you so much. And I would just kept going and being persistent. And then finally it released and it was just like, wow. So when they phoned me for the bone scan and from the radioactive department or whatever it was, I thought, oh my God, I don't want them putting that in me. And I'm walking great. So I'm not going to get it done.
Ah, well, I mean, such a great story. And again, I mean, we have so many lovely stories from people. And yes, some people can prevent things, but then there's other situations where it's more of a management process. And again, for this work to have benefited you from the pain perspective, that's beautiful to hear. And I'm so grateful that you are one of our instructors because you hold so much wisdom because of what you've gone through and how you're using this modality to support your very active life. That's just such a beautiful story. So, is there anything else, Marlene, that you'd like to share with everyone?
Um, no, I did send in some before and after pictures, and that was a while ago during an upper body. But I tried to find some really good pictures, and it was hard to really show my progress. Like I can get right down into a full squat and get up no problem. I was doing it the other day, and someone was amazed. They said, "You just had a hip replacement just over 7 months ago, and you're doing that?" Hi, I'm Marlene Kearsley. I've been doing block therapy for 4 years. I had my first hip replacement June 2nd of 2022, and my second one was May 21st, 2025, so just over 7 months ago. Today is January 15th, 2026. I just wanted to show you my mobility and how well I'm moving with the help of block therapy. Full squat. You can do sideways lunges. And I can sit cross-legged. Breathe and believe. I block every day and it's amazing.
Well, what we should probably do is reach back together in about a year or so and see where you're at, because no doubt you're only going to continue to improve utilizing this work as physical as you are. I mean, it's such a beautiful thing, and I appreciate you so much for your vulnerability to share your personal story because you'll inspire and help others navigate these tricky situations and understand that if you do have to have a surgery, there's a lot that we can do to make it go as best as it can and then to heal most efficiently on the other side. And as well, if we can manage pain with this work and at least minimize the amount of meds that we need to take, that's only going to support the body even further. So thank you so much, Marlene. I know you're in our instructor program. You're going to be an incredible teacher, and I just appreciate you so much. And for all of you that have been listening, thank you for your time.